Bienvenidos amigos, ¿Qué Paso? This is Jaime and Fuego, and I am joined once again for another edition of Enfuegotainment by my homeboy
Cecil, Laird.
That is right. I extend the gracias to him for making his journey from his time with the horror show with me to tackle something which does have kind of some similarities to the horrific, at least as far as concept. This movie we're going to talk about today.
There's some horrific moments, especially if you put yourself in the situation.
Yep, so we're talking about Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Want to get through this?
Let's go!
This isn't like super spoiler territory here on Enfuegotainment, where we cover hottest entertainment with an edge. We like to kind of start out with the bueno, and then segue into the malo, and then lastly the feo. So, you know, that's my little Enfuego twist on it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
Obviously, the whole dystopian kind of post-apocalyptic thing permeates this film, am I right?
Yeah, it's pretty much all there is lots and lots of desert. One dead tree, but
that's about the
outside of
extent
that,
of the vegetation we see, except that the promised land of sorts, or so it seems, that they escape from.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead. A man reduced to a single instinct. Survive.
Right off the bat, the movie launches into some action.
Yeah.
Because right away, he's being chased, and he gets taken down actually rather quickly.
Yeah, right off the bat, which is kind of unexpected.
It is very unexpected. That's, you know, that was actually a theme in this movie, was subverting expectations.
Yes.
Like, there were a few moments where I was like, expecting something to happen, and then something else completely happened, and I was like, oh, damn, wow.
Yeah, good scripting. Even for Mr. George Miller, as he's getting older and older, he returns to a franchise that he hadn't touched on in 30 years, since 1985 with Thunderdome, man.
Yeah. But to continue, basically, Max is taken in by this group of people that is sort of the new rulers of this quote-unquote promised land. The Citadel is what they call it, and it's ruled by this dude in a badass skull lower mask named Rictus, and
who appears to be kind of clinging to life a little bit, and he's got this body armor on to really cover up these sores and all the radiation. This is like post-nuclear, you know,
we assume nuclear fallout. Yeah,
there's
a massive, you know, storm cloud and things like that. That's obviously not necessarily natural for our world right now.
No.
This girl named Furiosa, I think it was, played by Charlize Theron.
It was a hell of a job. We knew she was a badass already, but she really cranks it up in this performance.
She was awesome. So she's sent on a mission by Rictus to go find more fuel for the Citadel, and she goes, and as she goes, she veers off course suddenly, and Rictus and everyone else realizes it, and he kind of has an idea of why she might be doing it, and he goes and checks on a room that's now empty, and he realizes that she's taken something of his, and so they go after her, and so that's the long and short of the story is that basically Furiosa has taken something from Rictus, and he and basically all the dudes possible take all of what they call chase vehicles and go after him, and that's what the plot of the movie is. And Mad Max is taken as a blood bag, you know,
so to speak, and he's like giving some of his blood and power to this mutated Half-Life, kind of played by Nicholas Hoult, I believe is his name.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, who showed up in most recently the X-Men Days of Future Past, where he played Beast, and it's very cool to see him stretching his acting skills into a role that you wouldn't really expect from him, especially starting out as a bad guy. And you know, we're not going to give away too much.
But there's a character arc for him.
There is,
believe it or not.
Allegiances change throughout this film at the drop of a dime, because it's like, hey, everyone's out for themselves at the end of the day. They all want water or survival or whatever is, you know, such a commodity in this wasteland that they're trudging through.
So you want to hit the good then, the bueno, Jaime?
Absolutely. And it was obviously abundant. The film visually was just living up to its name of going mad. It was insane. I mean, just the creativity in these vehicles alone was just staggering.
The design of almost every single one was unique.
Yeah.
And that made every car interesting to look at. Like, it wasn't just a bland car chase with cars you've seen a million times, but just lots of them.
Every single one was unique. Even the ones that had similarities were still totally unique to themselves.
Yeah, I mean, some look like puffer fish, with the spikes. Some look like just dune buggies with awesome alterations to them, and
that was a sweet thing. The different tribes having their own, like, I guess, visualistic aesthetic to the vehicles themselves.
And I think there was probably one vehicle in specific that you might have dug. His love for heavy metal was very much brought to the forefront.
Let's say music is used as kind of a fear device of sorts. And we've heard about type of warfare where they're like playing heavy metal music in Iraq to torture the I guess, people that they were trying to mess with and combat with. And in this, once again, music is used as something, it's almost like a calling card of the craziness approaching, almost like a warning signal to, hey, we're coming to get you type thing, without giving away too much.
Yeah, so. It was a little bit like the Apocalypse Now when the choppers start playing that dun, 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 dun. It's kind of the same thing.
It's
like when the people are coming, they let you know. So
how about some of your bueno, mon frere?
The buenos for me was just the action in general. There was so much of it, and it was really cool. It's nice to see that he was focusing so much on the practical stuff, like that only, that always lends itself to making things look more real, And they show that part in the trailer where Max is on like a weird flagpole that's going back and forth. Like, it's sort of how they've devised how to board other vehicles, like sort of in the Old West, how they'd have to figure out how to board trains and things like that on the fly.
And this has lots of Western nuances and kind of similarities to it.
And, absolutely.
I mean, it is like a dystopian Western in a lot of ways, trudging through the wastelands. And I saw certain similarities to Dark Tower, actually, being a favorite of that series by Stevie K. Shout out to you, man. Love you.
but yeah, no. Besides that, I would say the bueno is the fact that the movie subverts your expectations at almost every turn. Like, you think the way things are going to go, and then they appropriately take a hard left.
Exactly.
And then it changes. Yeah. But it keeps the movie entertaining the whole way through. There was one part in particular, which obviously I won't spoil, but when it happens, you're just like, whoa, really? They just did that? And it's like, holy cow. So an action movie that can keep you entertained and interested through the whole thing without necessarily giving you the deepest of characters, that is muy bueno in my opinion.
Truth be told. I mean, I guess that might be one of the few models that does stand up like right off the bat, is that it didn't really detract. It's just these characters weren't super developed. I mean, they were deep. Like kind of archetypes in some ways, but they still served the purpose very well. I think one of the only times the movie kind of lost its way a little bit was when they were trying to give that additional development, when it slowed down near the third act, and they're trying to give a little more backstory and stuff. I mean, this movie was at its best when it was relentless, and when it slowed down a little bit, things kind of slowed down as far as the interest level, just a wee bit. It still held it well.
For a movie that was going, when it did slow down, it became very noticeable that it had slowed down.
Exactly right.
And like they tried to say, okay, well, we're doing it for a purpose. We're trying to give you a little bit of time with the characters to actually care to make them, care to want them to make it through to the end. Yeah. But it just sort of stuck out like a sore thumb a little bit.
Yeah, you were happy once the action recommenced. Since that's what this film does best. Is, just that relentlessness, as I mentioned.
Absolutely.
Any malos that stick out for you, Buzz?
The biggest one for me, there weren't that many, but the biggest one for me was the fact that the titular character, Mad Max, is sort of a supporting character through the whole thing. Like he's not in all of it. Like when they show early on some of the other characters that get going, but then when he's in it, he's just like, he's sort of the first mate to Furiosa. He just helps her out and makes sure the vehicle stays going, and he fights for him. She kind of lets him
stay on board, even though she grows to. Well, we're not going to spoil too much, but it's obvious through the trailers. There's an affiliation that the two of them forge, but
not necessarily a romantic one, which is nice.
Which is what I was kind of expecting at times. Especially as the film progressed and they get closer in their fight against their pursuers.
But it didn't feel necessary though, by the end. I was like, okay, cool. It doesn't necessarily need that. But
it was kind of a coexistence based on necessity. They knew they needed each other.
Yeah, exactly. So outside of that, just the fact that he was sort of more of a supporting character than anything else, he might have said, 40 words through the whole movie.
Yeah, very stoic and just kind of, deliberate with the action, just like the entire movie. I guess Max kind of epitomized the movie in a lot of ways, just that relentless go-go, don't have to say as much, just keep it moving forward, shot fast, drive fast, and, try to escape. I have not watched a Mad Max film, with Mel Gibson in it in a great number of years. I was tempted very much so to do it before this review, but I kind of thought there's so many new generations of fans potentially that are going to be going cold turkey, like they have no recollection, if any, a very slight bit. The only malo I was curious about is how much more viewing enjoyment could have come out of this if you had, all of those earlier films fresh in your mind, because it's supposed to be kind of a continuation from what I've read.
Well, they said
not
it's,
like a full
kind of between 1 and 2 a little bit. Like he's still driving the car from 1, but he's got the long hair from 2.
Yeah.
So it's there. I guess it's supposed to settle maybe somewhere in there. So what about the Fuego for you?
The Fuego for me, the thing that came to mind, and it still stuck out even as I was contemplating after the film was over, just the entire setup that this crazy guy had at his citadel with, and without giving away too much, his very creepy, disgusting kind of he had almost like a human farm type thing going on of sorts, and that's early on in the film, and this isn't really gonna spoil too much. I'd say that was something, just the ugly underbelly of the type of corruption that sort of power can bring. I mean, yeah, this is early in the film, so it's not really gonna, be as too much of a spoiler or shocker or something. But yeah, it's just really peering into just how people could abuse power if they had the ultimate power that this, villain in the film possesses.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah, that was.
It just stuck out to me. There's a scene with some mother's milk that'll just really kind of.
Oh yeah, it gets to you a little bit. For me, the fail there wasn't much by way of ugly, except that some dudes go out in some ugly ways, and it's really cool. I mean, a particular one was particularly ugly, but particularly fulfilling as well. There were a lot of really cool moments where the cars would crash and explode, and bodies would just go flying, but it would look really good. It wouldn't look super CG, So yeah, I would say a lot of the deaths and the kills and
ugly
back
can
and
be
forth.
captivating. It doesn't have to be bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So so the ugly was more of a good thing in my opinion in this one. Overall, I dug the hell out of the movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And
there's a lot of hype going around about it right now. Try to, go in with even expectations, because it's a damn good movie. It is exciting, relentless in the action. It slows at times. It's not perfection, but so few films are. This is the perfect summer popcorn film, though, because it is just, mindless, check in your brain at the door awesomeness. It's so creative in so many of the set pieces and the action sequences. It's the action really drives the film forward, though, for sure.
It's not the same kind of big dumb that Furious 7 apparently was. It's more it's big and crazy. Not big and dumb, big and crazy is what it is. So it's a different formula. So it's enjoyable.
Living even up to going mad,
exactly.
We're all mad,
exactly, yeah. But I dug the heck out of it.
Yeah, oh yeah. So that has been our little analysis here for Enfuegotainment of Mad Max Fury Road, directed and co-written by George Miller, coming back to his franchise after 30 years of doing Happy Feet and Babe in the City or something. I don't know. He really diverted away from this type of cinema, but I'm glad that he returned, because so far it is set a very high benchmark for what all of these other exciting films that we have to encounter this summer are awaiting us. So I extend the grande gracias once more to my cohort in crime here from the horror show, Mr. Cecil Laird.
Thank you, sir.
Where can peeps find you on all those social media sectors? Where
just check out the horror show. It's at Horror Show 666 on Twitter. We're at thehorrorshowchannel.com for basically everything, and stay tuned. Podcasts, the YouTube show, review links, blogs, all kinds of good stuff. So check it all out there.
That's where we stick to things of the supremely spooky variety. But yeah, you can also find me on Jaime and Fuego, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Those social media sectors are usually pretty good. And until all of you get to tune in for some more of the hottest entertainment with an edge, more film fun here in Fuego Cinema, we will see all of you next time. And adios.